Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. About half the work week in the rearview mirror. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. JD PicKell talking college football in 15 minutes. It's a what-if Wednesday. Troubling. May have to lean pretty heavily on the Bayou Ford chat for what if Wednesday.
You can't say troubling. I mean, they've actually come through for us the last few times.
So can you trust them?
No, you can't.
Can you trust them?
No,
That's
you
the
cannot.
question.
No.
We'll just have to see. They got 30 minutes to make us proud with some good what ifs over there in the Bayou Ford chat. I'm sure they'll come through for us. We got a lot more to get to as well. Brian Kelly was on the SEC teleconference earlier today talking about Javien and Toviano potentially moving down to the star position. Should the Saints go get Devontae Adams? Adam Schefter says they are certainly in the mix. I've got my thoughts on that. And of course, in the second hour, our SEC football power rankings. There have been some shifts. I've got the power rankings right here. How many moves do we have? How many stayed the same? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stayed the same. 10 were on the move after last weekend, which was a really an entertaining weekend in SEC football. So we'll get to that in hour number 2. Let's start today with what is very admittedly a bye week discussion. I would love to start breaking down an LSU game that was coming up in a couple of days, getting into the position-by-position battles, diving inside the numbers, looking at all of that. Not the case this week. They're off. So you look for ancillary topics and things to discuss. And I don't mean this to be a negative discussion, but I think it is one that we're going to end up having so we can start it here on this bye week. I was looking at Mel Kiper's most recent big board, which he put out at the end of last week. And one of the things that caught my eye was that Garrett Nussmeier was listed among the draft-eligible quarterbacks in his top 10. He had Garrett Nussmeier listed at number 8. It doesn't surprise me that Nussmeier is being ranked. I think he's a very, very talented player, but I hadn't given a ton of thought to Garrett Nussmeier's future because that's just not worth a ton of thought in August and September. But now, as you kind of look at the program and kind of divert your attention from an immediate game that's coming up, it is worth a discussion. Okay, is he going to be here next year? And you look at this top 10 list, and Shedeur Sanders is number 1. Mel Kiper is very, very, very infatuated with Shedeur Sanders and is likely going to have him as the number 1 overall pick when that first mock draft comes out. He's got Travis Hunter as his number 1 player on the board, but he's got Shedeur as potentially the number 1 pick. Carson Beck, number 2 at Georgia. Quinn Ewers, number 3 at Texas. Miami's Cam Ward comes in at number 4. Jalen Milroe is at number 5. I got a feeling that number is going to go up a little bit, especially after last week. Keep in mind, this was published before the Georgia game. Drew Aller from Penn State at number 6. That's purely based on measurables and not at all in production. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss at 7. There's Nussmeier at 8. You're all familiar with Miller Moss at number 9. And Will Howard from Ohio State comes in at number 10. But if you're in the top 10 quarterback discussion, and you feel like this quarterback class has got its flaws. I mean, Carson Beck's been okay, but he's got a great supporting cast. Quinn Ewers has been injured. Jalen Milroe is very new to this scene and is a guy that we thought this time last year couldn't really throw the ball. Drew Aller hasn't done anything in college. Jackson Dart is a little bit undersized. Like, Garrett Nussmeier, it stands to reason, could rise pretty steadily through this group. He doesn't have great size, but he's got good enough size. He's got plenty of arm. He's got a great pedigree. You figure he'll be phenomenal in the interview rooms and on the whiteboard. It's his dad's literal job. I would imagine he'd be pretty prepared for that. Been in college for 4 years, seen the position played at a very high level, running an offense that Jaden Daniels ran to an extent last year, and now we see what Jaden Daniels is doing here. That can't do anything but help. And you look at it and you go, well, maybe it makes sense for Garrett Nussmeier to be in this conversation. There was another tweet that was sent out by Jim Nagy who runs the Reese's Senior Bowl and who joins us on our pregame show over on Eagle 98.1 here under the Guarantee Roof, joins the guys in the morning a good bit. We've got a great relationship with the Senior Bowl. And Jim Nagy tweeted this out just a couple days ago. Said, spoke to 4 NFL executives this past week, and all of them said the same thing about the 2025 draft. There's an unusually small number of surefire first-rounders this year. The amount of round 1 grades in most drafts is mid-teens, good drafts maybe low 20s, and based on these conversations, there's less than 10 consensus first-rounders right now at this point of the fall scouting process. Okay, you weigh that with the fact that Garrett Nussmeier is a top 10 quarterback in this class. You figure it's possibly works his way to a top 5 quarterback in this class if he has a really good season this year, which he's doing right now. And then you factor in that they don't love the tackles in this class or the rush ends in this class or the stud wideouts or corners in this class. And all of a sudden, you've got quarterbacks that are going to be overvalued, like quarterbacks are overvalued every single year in the NFL draft. Is he a top 25 pick in a bad draft at a demand position? Maybe. And look, I want to be very clear. Like, I don't have any inside information here. I don't know Garrett Nussmeier. But I can speculate. I know what his dad's been doing professionally for 2 decades. He's been in the NFL. He's had a successful career in the NFL and in college football, consistently making 6-figure salaries. I'm confident that I can sit here. Now, I haven't seen Doug Nussmeier's portfolio. I don't know how his entire diversification process has gone, but I'm confident that Garrett Nussmeier does not have a ton of people around him tugging on him to go get the first paycheck he can possibly find. I'm confident that's probably not the case. He's probably in a position where he can make a decision that's based purely on his interest and his comfort and his desires. And I have no idea what those are. I know that it's important to Garrett to play for LSU, and that's why he didn't leave to go play for someone else. But he's now gotten that opportunity. Is 1 year enough? Or does he strongly desire to come back and be the quarterback for a 5th year in college? He just saw Jaden Daniels do that. Joe Burrow did that. There are a couple of examples of guys that have had a ton of success doing it. Does he follow in those footsteps? I don't know. But what I can gather from people who know a lot more than me, and Jim Nagy and Mel Kiper know a lot more than me, this is not a great draft. It's not an elite quarterback draft. And Garrett Nussmeier is brand new to this scene. He started 5 football games, and he's in the top 8 quarterbacks in this draft class. That feels like at least the opportunity will present itself for Garrett Nussmeier to say, you know what, I'm going to move on. But again, you've got NIL where he can make some money here and certainly would as the starting quarterback. And I feel like he's not being shoved into the NFL like some people are because of the financial situation at home. Everybody's different. So the question remains, will that happen? I don't know. I know that LSU would really, really hope that it doesn't. Because despite how much fun it is to sit here and say, hey, man, LSU's got the number 1 quarterback in the nation, the number 1 player in the nation committed for next year. That is awesome. He's going to win the Heisman. LSU's going to be in the playoff for every year. LSU's going to have another Heisman Trophy winner. This is going to be incredible. Do you really want to throw him out there as a freshman? Would you rather have 5th-year senior Garrett Nussmeier, who's currently leading college football in completions, out there in those 4 road games I talked about yesterday, at Alabama, at Oklahoma, at Clemson, at Ole Miss? You want to throw the freshman out there for those? Or would you like to have the 5th-year senior back? I have my thoughts on that. I'd probably rather have the 5th-year senior back. But if Garrett Nussmeier moves on, doesn't it feel like there's a pretty good chance a true freshman can be starting for LSU next year? Not a slam dunk. They've got 3 quarterbacks on campus right now. But I'd really rather not do that. As much fun as it is to look at the recruiting rankings and see Bryce Underwood's name right there with those 3 letters next to it, maybe a year of seasoning would be fine. Jameis Winston seemed to do okay after a year of seasoning. Johnny Manziel seemed to do okay after a year of seasoning. And sure, you could point at Dylan Raiola at Nebraska. He's playing well as a true freshman, and guys have done that. Trevor Lawrence came in there as a freshman and won that job. It can be done, but is it ideal? Do you want to count on that? I'd really rather not. I'll take the guy back who has played great as a 22-year-old. It'll be a discussion that we have as we move forward in the season, and it doesn't really garner any relevance, and we're not going to get anything concrete until January. But you can rest assured that Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan will have those conversations with Garrett, and I feel comfortable saying they'll be honest conversations. This is not like recruiting where you got different suitors coming here or there and you might just get some lip service. No, this will be a good relationship that's been fostered over multiple years, and they'll figure it out. And maybe LSU goes into the transfer portal and tries to find a quarterback as well if Garrett Nussmeier moves on. I'm just suggesting that it is possible that Garrett Nussmeier will be the starting quarterback for 1 year and that the opportunity will present itself and he's going to be a top 20 pick in the NFL draft and he may move on. I don't really give that any thought when LSU's getting ready for South Carolina on the road. I give it a little bit of thought in an open week, and I thought it was reasonable to take these opinions from Mel Kiper, from Jim Nagy, from the NFL executives that he's talked to, and certainly he does. That's his job. All things are kind of pointing in that direction of there will be an opportunity there if Garrett Nussmeier wants to take it. We'll just have to see if he does. If you're looking for our LSU football content, you can find it at LouisianaSports.net. You can also find it on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. Subscribe to that channel. Get your LSU videos each and every day on our YouTube channel, Hunt on LSU. All right, we've got a lot to do in this hour number one. Of course, we're going to talk J.D. PicKell coming up next. Also get to What If Wednesday. Javien Toviano is moving a little bit. Not a guy we've seen a ton of, but I want to discuss what that move might mean for the LSU defense. So we'll do that at the end of the hour. Hope your Wednesday is off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Come back with J.D. PicKell coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 3.5 decades, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I chatted with David yesterday, and they're having a ton of success, and they're very busy. And they're doing a lot of the same types of things. Let me know if this rings a bell for you. If you got kind of a big jacuzzi-style tub that you don't really use all that often, that takes up a lot of space, you can take that out and make it a walk-in shower. They do that all the time. Another thing they do, if you've got one of those small cylinder-type showers that nobody really likes because it's all crammed in there, they make those into closets when they put another shower somewhere where it isn't currently in the bathroom. It's these types of things that they can do inside your bathroom that can create some more space, can freshen things up, can make it more functional for you, and they're happy to do it. They'll work with you on financing. They can do 18 months worth of financing for you interest-free. But you got to make the call. You got to get that consultation done, and you got to get the process started with One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com. You'll see the pictures of their great work. You'll see the reviews from their satisfied customers. I can promise you this, they do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. If you could use some new stuff in that bathroom, One Bath and Closets, check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Every Wednesday, we go out to Jim's Firearms Hotline, talk to our guy, J.D. PicKell. He's the host of the Hard Count on 3 Sports. Find the YouTube channel, subscribe up to it on 3. It's with us every Wednesday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. J.D., how we doing?
Man, I'm doing good. I know that we look at the slate and doesn't have the same, star power that maybe some of the previous weekends had. But, Hunt, you and I know this, man, and a lot of your listeners know this too. It's always the quiet one. Always the quiet one.
Yeah, those tend to have a way of doing something crazy. I'm going to go play golf on Saturday because I work every Saturday and I'm not working this Saturday. But I am going to post
you deserve
up.
It.
I know. I'm going to post up in the evening and watch a little football. I don't have high hopes that Tennessee, Arkansas is going to be competitive, but that'll probably be what I watch late into the evening. Let's go back before we go forward, though, JD. Obviously a classic in Tuscaloosa. What was your biggest takeaway?
Biggest takeaway is Alabama may have hired themselves. Maybe not the next Nick Saban, but I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be in that tier. I think he's in that tier. I think Kalen DuBois. I mean, when was the last time someone gave Kirby Smart and his defense 41 points? And then the answer is 2021 SEC title game with Bryce Young, a Nick Saban coach team. I was more surprised by how out of sorts they got Georgia to look, because that's still, I think, one of the best teams in the country. And I mean, whether you're 4 against the 12-team playoff now is not the discussion, but Georgia's going to be in it at the end, I think, just as much as, that loss hurts them. I don't think it's going to be a thing where they can't recover from it with this new model. So the answer there is Alabama's a wagon. Kalen DeBoer is going to have his team always with the better game plan, no matter who it's against. And, the Tide are for real.
What if Beck completes that pass instead of it being an interception? Are we having a different discussion?
The discussion probably has less volume to it, but still, what Kalen DeBoer did to start that game, I thought was nothing short of unbelievable. The way that he had that Glenn Schumann defense out of sorts, they can't get aligned to everything correctly. They have a hard time adjusting. Now, credit Georgia for being able to adjust. And honestly, as a fan and just as a college football, general fan, I was happy to see Georgia close the way they did, because what would have happened, Hunt, and you know this as well as anybody, the narrative would have started to run off the train tracks from other places saying, man, well, is Georgia any good? Golly, Alabama beat the brakes off of them 42-10. It wasn't even competitive. Does Kirby Smart have something going on? So I was glad to see Georgia be validated in some ways at the end there. The conversation does change to, oh my gosh, how did Kalen DeBoer blow it? But again, I think you look at just that game as a total body of work, and I think what Alabama is and what Georgia is for me, 2 of the best teams in the country, and you can make a very strong case for them being the top 2 teams in the country.
No doubt. I don't think there's any question about that at this point. A little bit off the beaten path here, but I wanted your opinion on it. Ashton Jeanty goes for 259 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. I don't think a lot of people were watching Boise State and Washington State, but he's been unbelievable statistically for the first month. Does he have a chance to win the Heisman Trophy, or is that a ridiculous question?
No, he definitely has a chance. And this is funny that you say this, because we do our Heisman rankings every week here at On 3, and I put out my top 3, and only the top 3 make the graphic, but we do a top 10 for a voting, if you will, across the On 3 staff. And so my top 3 right now are Travis Hunter, Jalen Milroe, Cam Ward. Obviously, there's some level of the quarterback award to it and all that, but anyway, all I have to say is Boise State found that graphic, not Boise State, the actual school, maybe they saw it too, but the Boise State Twitter found that graphic and just continued or proceeded to open fire, essentially, is what it was. And I had Ashton Jeanty at 4. So to actually answer your question here, to give you my thought on it, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take ridiculous numbers. It's going to take several 200-yard games. It's probably also, if we're just going to be real here, it's going to take somebody in front of him kind of falling off the wagon, whether it be Travis Hunter having a slow day at the office or a Jalen Milroe. It's going to take a lot, I think, some things that he can't control. But the question of, does he deserve the Heisman? Does he deserve to be in that conversation? Statistically speaking, I think it's tough to make an argument against that.
How many games does Colorado have to win for Travis Hunter to win the Heisman Trophy? Can he do it on Can he do it on an 8-4 team?
I think he can. I think he can do it on an 8-4 team. Now, if we get to 7-5, and this is also the unfortunate part, it probably has to be the right finish to the season for Colorado. He can't have a season where Colorado drops their last 3 and they go 8-4, or drops their last 2. I think if they finish the season on a win, he has some strong showings against the teams where he has to have a strong showing. And talking about that game against Kansas State on the where Kansas State goes to Colorado, rather, excuse me. That's going to be, I think, impactful, because we've seen it every single year. It's a November award. You kind of set yourself up in September, October, but kind of win it in November. What he's doing is just so unprecedented, and I think most people are starting to realize that. Playing over 100 snaps, truly playing both offense and defense at the highest level on the field, regardless of who they're playing against. I think he probably deserves the Heisman if we're truly giving it to the best player in college football. But I do think 8-4 is enough if it looks like the right 8-4. 7-5 is a little bit too rich for me.
You mentioned Cam Ward. They got out alive barely against Virginia Tech, who was a 2-2 team coming in with a loss to Vanderbilt. But they did get out. What did that tell you about the Miami Hurricanes back on Friday?
Well, hey, first of all, making this call from Nashville, Tennessee, I'm going to say the Doors now, they're one of the sneakier teams out there, all right? Diego Pavia, he's got to be in the Heisman conversation. That spot was always terrifying to me for Miami. Friday night, Virginia Tech limps in there with 2 losses. That, by the way, had 2 losses by 3 points for both their losses, which had a little bit of sleight of hand, if you will. Finding a way to get out alive is the key part there. If they can treat that loss the way the good team, or not lost, treat that game rather, that poor showing the way the good teams treat it, in the sense of they don't feel relief that they won, they feel a sense of urgency in the way they won. I think they'll do that. I was honestly, in some ways, encouraged how Cam Ward just hung in there and kept swinging. I mean, the Dr. Pepper Scholarship Award chest pass from him after he's getting sacked, throws it out to his guy, and I think the tight end gets down to right around inside the 5-yard line. Like, the sheer confidence and psychopathic nature to feel like that's a play that you should make after you've already turned it over, I think it was 3 times at that point. If this team takes on that persona of, like, we just, quite frankly, do not care, we're going to just keep going after you, even if we're not having our best day at the office, that, to me, makes Miami a bit of a wagon. So they got the ability. Can they have the consistent mindset and approach is going to be the difference, I think, for them. And, another good test going on the road, late kick, 10:30 Eastern with Cal, and it'll be a lot of fun.
All right, Kentucky goes to Oxford and beats Ole Miss. We'll learn this week as Ole Miss is going to South Carolina, and I guess we'll get your thought on that game as well. But what do you think happened in that Kentucky-Ole Miss game on Saturday?
I think it's twofold. I think the first is Ole Miss hadn't played anybody with a pulse, and then you play a physical 60% run the football Mark Stoops outfit in Kentucky. So I think that's first, and that probably caught him by surprise a bit. I think the other part is when you go to the portal as heavily as Lane Kiffin does, we've seen it across the country, saw it at Oregon for the first couple weeks of the season. It takes a second to gel. It takes a second to get it all right from an in-game perspective. You can plug and play a couple of pieces, but when you're going that heavily on the defensive side and adding guys like a Walter Nolan and a Princely Emmanuel, they added a ton of different pieces. And not to say that those guys didn't play well, but I think it does take a second for all of it to solidify and work properly. So I'd be surprised if Ole Miss didn't put it together and still make a run at this thing in November. Will they be in Atlanta for the SEC title like I originally anticipated? Feels like more of a stretch right now, but I do think Ole Miss will still be there when it comes to that 12-team playoff. So
you like Ole Miss taking care of South Carolina this weekend in Columbia?
I do, and hey, Hunt, if they don't, and we're having this conversation next week about that, that is the point where you hit the panic button. Yeah. They still got to play Georgia.
And they're coming to Baton Rouge next week, and LSU's coming off a bye.
LSU off a bye.
It's I think it's an advantageous spot. I talked about this yesterday. I mean, Kentucky's really physical, and Ole Miss just played them and got whipped at the point of attack. I don't think South Carolina's a great team. They're physical at the point of attack. They gave LSU's offensive line fits, and I still think LSU's offensive line is good. So I think they're coming off 2 really physical games, and LSU's going to have their feet on the coffee table this week. So I think that's an advantage for the Tigers. But we'll talk about it next week. Interesting game in College Station. 11 o'clock kickoff, ABC. Undefeated number 9 Missouri goes in there to take on Texas A&M, who's 2-0 in SEC play. The Aggies are a favorite in this game, 2.5 points. Sneaky spot here. I kind of like this matchup.
Oh, this might be the game of the weekend. I think, honestly, little 11 a.m. Central for us. I think Missouri. This is a team that I've been cool on since media days with all they lost and the production, and they've done nothing to make me feel differently about them. With the Vanderbilt, no knock on Vanderbilt now, but with the Vanderbilt showing against Boston College, they don't belong on the same field with Missouri. And so what that makes me believe is Missouri is playing to the logo a bit, and that's fine. It's kind of like studying for a test the day before. Like, you can get away with it a few times, but after a while now, like, you're going to get got. And so my question is, do they play to the A&M logo and start to ramp it up a little bit here and kind of flip up and switch with them going to College Station, or is it kind of like we saw with Ole Miss going to Kentucky? Now, Missouri's played better competition than Ole Miss, but if it's a situation where you got to try and pick it up once you get to a better competition level, like you're gonna have problems. So I think if Texas A&M plays Marcel Reed at quarterback, I think they win that game. If not, I'm taking Missouri.
I've not watched a snap of SMU, but I am aware of what they did last week. They're going to Louisville, who feels like they're trying to be an ACC contender at this point. Do you think SMU goes to Louisville and wins that game?
I don't. I think it's a bounce-back spot for Louisville. Kind of a letdown for SMU with them being able to beat Florida State last week. So I'll go ahead and take Louisville. I think Tyler Shuck in that passing attack, I think they find a way to get it done.
Last one here. Auburn has been really disappointing. For 3 losses at home in September for the first time in program history. But even their bad teams tend to find a way against Alabama and Georgia to show up. Now, they're getting a ticked-off Georgia team in Athens. It's a 24-point line. Do you think Hugh Freeze's team can stay in it?
24 is so many points. I don't love that number. But I think when we talk about Auburn, what you just said is exactly on the money. One, you got a big-time spot. Like this year about Auburn was trying to gather some trajectory for 2025, kind of show recruits where it's going. If you want to try and reestablish some trajectory after a 2-3 start, you go beat Georgia in Athens. That'll do the trick. So I think they cover. Auburn, honestly, it's funny to say out loud, and you get dunked online about it if you tweet it out. But Auburn's had a lot of success offensively if they would just stop turning the football over. They're like they're top 30 in yards per play. They threw for over 300 yards against the top 10 defense in Oklahoma. Like, there's a lot to like if they would just stop giving it away like Halloween candy, which kind of makes the whole thing a moot point.
Yeah, it certainly does. You turn it over 5 times, you usually lose, and they've done that twice, and then threw a pick 6 back on Saturday. So that's been a big bugaboo for Hugh Freeze. We appreciate the time, man. Thanks.
Thanks, brother. Hey, enjoy the golf course.
All right, we'll do it. It's JD PicKell, host of the Hard Count, national college football guy for On 3. Subscribe up to their channel. Check him out, and he's with us every single Wednesday. We appreciate a little bit of time. All right, it's What If Wednesday. Chat, if you're listening, we got room for a few. We got a couple in there. We got room for a few. If you give us some good stuff, we may use it coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. EvolvePT.com is the website. Pain sucks. That is pretty obvious, no matter how you got in that position, whether it's a car accident, injured playing sports, just some old age, whatever the case may be. If there's pain and it's not allowing you to do the things that you want to do, physical therapy is your answer. Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports, more specifically, is your answer. They are hands-on from start to finish over there at Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. Robbie Bolden has been at this for 2 decades. He's got a fantastic team. They will get you back to being your active self. If you're listening, you want to get back out on the golf course, but back's not allowing you to do it, knees not allowing you to do it, wrists not allowing you to do it, they'll get you back to feeling the way you want to. You got a youth athlete who is injured in your family and you're not real sure how to handle that. They can do it at Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. They've got incredible technology over there. They've got the dry needling. They've got the cupping. They've got scraping. They can do isokinetic testing to measure the strength as you return to full strength. They can handle anything you got over there at Evolve Physical Therapy in Sports. So if you're hurt and you want to get back to being your active self, I cannot highly recommend enough Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. Robbie Bolden and his team are awesome. They're on Starring near Highland Road. Check them out online, EvolvePT.com, EvolvePT.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, hosted by the Goo Goo Dolls' #1 fan, Hunt Palmer.
I don't know if I'm the #1 fan, but I gotta be.
You're in the top. You're probably in the top 10 at least, maybe 20.
I'm in the top 2 or 3 percentile.
Yeah,
easily. Because I don't know how many fans they still have left at this point.
Yeah,
hadn't put out a song since the Clinton administration.
I don't know how they're doing on new music, but they're still touring. Obviously,
I don't
as
need
we
new
know.
music. You got all the music you need.
They've already got a full catalog.
I like to celebrate the entire catalog. What movie is that from? I celebrate the entire catalog. I can't remember what it's from. Somebody in the chat will come up with it. Going to talk a little Javien Toviano coming up here in about 10, 12 minutes, and also a lot to do in hour number 2. I got Saints in the mix for Devontae Adams, as well as SEC football power rankings. So we'll get to all that. But first, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
I just looked it up. It is Office Space. It was Michael Bolton. I celebrate the man's entire catalog. All right. First one here.
That movie's incredible.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing film. First one. What if Caden Durham can't play next week?
That hurts, obviously. You still got Josh Williams and you still got Caleb Jackson with Juwan Johnson available in a pinch. So I don't think it's as if you got to pull somebody off the street to play running back, but you're way, way thin at that point, and you don't have your most productive guy. I've got a piece up at LouisianaSports.net right now talking about Caden Durham kind of seizing his opportunity. Brian Kelly talked about him last night a good bit. And yeah, I mean, I think he's a big part to what LSU's trying to do offensively. The backbone of the offense is still the passing game. It's still the quick strikes, the efficiency, the completion percentage, and all that comes with LSU's passing game. But Durham gives another element because he's been the best running back. And so if he can't go, I mean, I feel like you're probably going to get into a bit of a track meet next week. I know that Ole Miss didn't look great on offense against Kentucky, and I'm hopeful that LSU's defense can do some similar things that Kentucky's did, but it doesn't feel that way right now. So I feel like you're going to need to score some points, and I'd like every available offensive weapon if I could have them. So I'd like if Caden Durham could play next week.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, I think. Moving on, what if Ole Miss loses to South Carolina this weekend?
I mean, that's a disaster. That's the most disappointing results that Ole Miss will have had in 21 years, I think, since Eli. I mean, I realized that they kind of got robbed with the Arkansas lateral thing, and we talked about that on Monday, but like, this is the most anticipated Ole Miss football season in years and years and years, and it would be essentially cooked on October the 5th at that point, like, because they would have to then beat LSU on the road, beat Georgia in Oxford, beat Oklahoma. Did they play? No, they don't play Missouri. I mean, it doesn't end the season, but it pretty much does if you can't beat Kentucky and South Carolina. If you can't beat Kentucky and South Carolina, there's very little evidence to suggest that you're going to win the rest of your games, which is what they would have to do. And 9-3 is unacceptable for this year for them.
Absolutely. So just looking at the rest of their schedule, they've got LSU, Oklahoma at home, at Arkansas, Georgia at home, at Florida, at Mississippi State. So there shouldn't be anything there at the end. But I mean, you never know at the end of the season. I mean, at Florida can get
at Arkansas
tough,
gets squirrely. It's. I mean, after this season, Trey Harris is gone, Jackson Dart's gone. Then you're going to lose Nolan in the middle, Prince Umum. I can't say his name. Doesn't matter. He's going to be gone. Like, all these guys you've brought in as mercenaries that you dumped a whole bunch of money into are going to leave. And like, then you look at the boosters and say, hey, we got to sign a whole new group of these guys. And they're going to go, well, why? I just gave you all the guys we could possibly get. We got everybody we wanted, and you lost 3 or 4 games. Like that, if they lose this week, it's going to be crisis territory with the Grove Collective and all around Ole Miss football. And all of a sudden, you got to start wondering if Florida makes that phone call eventually.
All right, starting. We got some from Twitter here and the YouTube chat. Let's see how you guys did this week. What if Tiger Stadium went through a remodel where it only held 80,000, but everyone had padded seats with armrests? That may be a bit much, but instead of crammed shoulder to shoulder in most sections.
I mean, it would increase attendance a little bit. It wouldn't help you with the heat from 2 weeks ago, but it would help you just in terms of comfort and in your game watching experience. And that's what all these stadiums have gone to. Yes, Jerry World seats a bajillion people, but the new stadiums that they build are built around the fan experience and being a little bit more comfortable. There are more premium seats, there are more bathrooms, there are better concessions. Like, it's just, we've gotten past the point where everybody's good sitting on metal bleachers eating hot dogs and drinking a bottle of water. Like, people want more from their game watching experience, or they're going to do it from at home. So that's never going to happen. We don't have to worry about that or concern ourselves with it. But yes, I believe they would fill a better percentage of the seats if they shrunk it by 20,000 and made the seats more comfortable. However, that's not going to happen. So it is what it is.
All right, next one. What if Jalen Milroe doesn't complete the 4th and 31 last year and Bama loses? Is Nick Saban still coaching?
No, I don't
think so.
I don't think it was because he made the playoff and felt like he could exit on those terms. I think he demands excellence at all times and max effort and intensity at all times from everyone involved in that program. And he's just at an age that he's not able to do that to his standard. And he was probably sick of the NIL and transfer portal thing. Yep. And none of that changes. His age, the NIL and transfer portal, none of that changes if you get that incomplete pass in Auburn. So, no, I think he was done, and I think he knew that well before that pass was completed.
All right, next one. We've got some Goo Goo Doll action here. Of course we do. What if the Goo Goo Dolls play a gig in Baton Rouge soon? Would Hunt be there? I mean, that's a given.
Absolutely.
There's no question.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
I don't know. If we get the pregnant wife to that gig,
that might be tough.
That might be an issue. But I would go solo.
I'll go with you.
There we go. I would celebrate the catalog right there. No matter the venue, if they do show up, I would go to New Orleans.
They seem like maybe a LeBears type band, a casino.
I completely agree with that. I think
they
could do it at the River Center as well and draw a little bit of a crowd. I don't know we're certainly not doing the Superdome, and I don't even think we can do the Smoothie King Center.
The Smoothie King,
but I mean, I've never been in Tipitina's.
Maybe the Lakefront Arena. I think they still do shows there.
Where the Privateers play. Yeah, we can handle that. Jazz Fest.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know if maybe look, Gretna Fest is coming up this week.
Yeah.
Maybe like I got buddies in my text messages right now saying they're going to Gretna Fest to see something called what is that? The band they're
Steve Miller Band's playing.
They're all excited to go see
Chase Rice is going to be there.
The Future Birds.
I've never heard of them.
Gotta see the Future Birds.
Never heard of the Future Birds.
Future Birds don't make it on my radar, but the Goo Goo Dolls, who are exponentially better than the Future Birds,
yes.
I would hope that they would. If they show up, I'll be there.
Absolutely. Last one here, unless we got some more in the chat, I'll check. But what if Arch Manning gets to start next weekend in the Red River Shootout?
Interesting. I still would like Texas in that game. They haven't taken a huge step back with him. I know the first half was bad against Mississippi State. I'm just going to give it a pass. I'm just going to give that whole first half a pass. It's really difficult after the slate that they played to get ready for a Mississippi State team that is clearly the worst team in the league. And it was at home. It's just going to be sleepy. At least if you go into a road environment, maybe they're fired up and that gets you going a little bit. But you're at home. You know that the fans aren't into it. You know that Mississippi State's terrible. They put their foot on the accelerator in the second half and ran away with it. And I just think Oklahoma has such issues on the offensive side of the ball that even if Arch didn't go out there and hang 38 on them with that offense, I think 28 might be enough. And I think that he would be capable of doing that. Ewers is a better player than Arch right now, in my estimation, but I still think that I would take Texas in that game with Arch at the quarterback spot.
All right, last one here. I don't really think this is probably too feasible, but if Dave Aranda is fired,
what ifs are for.
If Dave Aranda is fired at Baylor, could Brian Kelly go after? I don't think so, because we've got
they just
Blake
paid
Baker,
the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football, and things are getting a little bit better. There's just not a situation where that happens. I'm bummed out that it's not working at this point at Baylor with Dave Aranda. We all pull for him after what he did here over a long stretch, but of course in 2019 being a part of that, and looked like he really had it taken off there at Baylor in that first couple of years, and then it's just kind of bottomed out. He'll get a job because he's a great defensive coach, and I think he's probably a better defensive coordinator than head coach, and a lot of us kind of said that at the time when he was here at LSU, because he's just kind of soft-spoken and would probably rather be in the film room getting the defensive game plan together than speaking in front of boosters and going to the Rotary Club and being the front of the recruiting operation, all those kind of things. But he'll get a job pretty quickly. He's been all over the country, and he's done a very good job defensively wherever he's been. So that's it for a What If Wednesday. Appreciate y'all for jumping in the Bayou Ford chat, as well as on Twitter to hit us up with some of those. Brian Kelly was on the SEC Coaches Teleconference earlier today. He had some things to say about his defense, specifically Javien Toviano. We haven't seen a lot of Javien Toviano to this point, but where might we see him moving forward? Brian Kelly alluded to that coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio, video, security solutions, avssla.com is the website. I got a text message this morning from a family friend. Said, what's that AV and security company that you talk about on your show? We've got a company that's handling our security right now, and it's just going really, really poorly. Said, I got you covered. Audio, video, security solutions. Mitchell Fisher and his team at AVSS are fantastic. They handled all of our security at our new home, and they can do it for you as well. So they will be handling things for that family here coming up very, very shortly. I gave her Mitchell Fisher's cell phone because that's the way that you get in touch with them. It's 225-439-7920. It's important for Mitchell to be the point man, to be the relationship that you have with the company, and he can be. They're a small company right here in Baton Rouge, and they are happy to help you. All your audio, all your video, and of course your security. There's nothing more important than the security of your house and your family. And we've trusted ours with audio, video, security solutions. You can do the exact same thing, whether it's cameras, whether it's a burglar alarm, the app, all that controls it remotely or from right there in the house. Audio, video, security solutions can handle all of that. Check out their Instagram. It's got some great stuff about the capabilities that they have on all the fronts of what they do. It's AVSS_BR on Instagram, and I always direct you to the website. It's audio, video, security solutions at avssla.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
up hour number 1, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brian Kelly was on the SEC coaches teleconference this morning, leading things off as he always does, and asked a little bit about LSU's defense, specifically Javien Toviano, who hasn't played a heck of a lot to this point for LSU. Obviously, we understand he was in a legal situation back over the summer. He was eased into fall camp. We would go out there and he would kind of not be participating on defense and some on special teams. And he's played a little bit to this point, but not a significant amount. Looking up his statistics right now. And Toviano, let's see where I can find Javien Toviano. I'm assuming it's down here pretty low. I don't see any statistics at all from Javien Toviano on a defensive perspective, which is a little surprising considering that he was a 4-star recruit. It's his second year on campus, and that's a guy you figure they'd be leaning on a little bit, and they have not to this point. So Kelly had a couple things to say about Toviano, and one was about him potentially moving to the star spot on defense.
We really like Javien Toviano. It's just finding the role for him. We've bounced him around, as you know, quite a bit. And I think what really needs to happen for us, and we've had this discussion, matter of fact, this week about him, is that we need to settle him into a particular position, and that's it, right? I mean, we can't keep moving him around. He does a lot of things really well for us. We just now have to accent those and say, listen, these are the things that he's really good at. Let's just kind of build off of that. He's going to play the star position, and we expect him to stay there the rest of the year.
That works out fine to me. I mean, we've seen situations over the years where the LSU just struggled to find a place to put a guy. And I know that Russell Shepard was obviously a very famous example of that. You're going to look right at Harold Perkins and go, they hadn't quite figured that out either. And why do they keep moving all these guys around? And versatility is a good thing to have, but it's better if you're just really good at one thing. I mean, it's great that LSU had the ability to take Tyrann Mathieu and pull him back from corner and let him play safety one game, and he was fantastic in that role, but he's a superstar player. More often than not, you're looking at these versatile guys, and they're not really giving you a lot at one specific spot. You're just kind of moving them around, and that's counterproductive to an extent. So for Javien Toviano to find a spot and not go play the boundary corner at one point and then go inside and play the nickel and then go back and play deep safety. Okay, now we need you to play up at the star, but now somebody's hurt, so let's go out there and play corner. Like, that's, at a certain extent, it's counterproductive to do that. And Toviano is a pretty talented guy. He's not the fastest guy, but he's got a good frame. He tackles pretty well, and he needs to find a spot. And it feels like now they finally found that, and they're going to work him at that star position. Juwan Johnson was backing up Major Burns at the star spot all of camp. And, of course, Juwan Johnson played mostly offense. He set the Louisiana record for all-purpose yards and for touchdowns, and he was a quarterback and would do everything in high school. And they're going, all right, we're going to move you to defense. You're going to play the star. Well, all of a sudden, you got injuries, and John Emery goes down, and you go, okay, well, we got to move him to running back. So now we don't really have a backup star, and you got to have Major Burns out there. Well, now they've got potentially a backup star, potentially a starting star, depending on what they want to do with Major Burns on defense, either at star or safety. And Kelly talked about what Toviano at star would bring to the defense.
And it allows us now some flexibility where, you know, we can move Major Burns back to safety if we need some help back at the safety position, because we really believe he's really good, Toviano, closer to the ball in the line of scrimmage because he's such a short tackler and he's assignment correct.
So they're trying to get him closer to the ball. Major Burns moving back, I know, is going to make some people a little uncomfortable. I understand that. They just have a revolving door at safety that's got to get figured out. I wrote about that at LouisianaSports.net earlier this week. I talked about it on this show. Like, you got to stop playing 7 safeties. You got to find 2 or 3 that give you an opportunity. And if Major Burns is one of those, we'll see. I kind of like Sage Ryan back there, quite frankly. I think he should be playing safety instead of outside corner, instead of nickel. I think he's a safety. He hadn't played a lot of that. And then as far as the rest of the guys go, it's been a mixed bag. Like Jordan Gilbert, Jordan Allen, Deshaun Spears, Kylan Jackson, Burns. Like they've played a lot of dudes back there, and they haven't necessarily figured out what works. And none of it's worked great to this point. And Brian Kelly talked about it right out of the chute, said we need better production at safety. He talked about it on Saturday night after the game, saying, hey, we've shuffled a lot of guys through in there. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to figure it out. And I guess, that was after Tuesday's practice, and he mentioned Tuesday's practice back on Saturday about trying to get this done. And I'm guessing they're trying to make some progress there, and it involves Toviano at the star and maybe moving Burns back. Again, we haven't seen a lot of Toviano. Maybe he is a difference maker on defense. I'm hopeful. I don't know that, and I don't know why things have gone slowly for him on the defensive side. They basically tried everybody else on defense in the secondary. Why not give a former 4-star recruit in his second year that opportunity? But maybe we find something out in the game against Ole Miss. That's, I guess, theoretically what the bye week is for, huh? So Javien Toviano going to the star. Major Burns maybe moving back a little bit. We'll see how LSU plays that in the secondary moving forward. Cranked up the show today, starting about Garrett Nussmeier. Is he going to leave for the NFL? Is he going to stay at LSU? We won't know until January, but I thought it was a reasonable time in this bye week to kind of bring it up. So we did that at 1 o'clock. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. JD PicKell was with us at 1:15 talking about the national scene in college football. We had some Jalen Milroe Heisman talk there, as well as what's going on in Oxford, Mississippi. JD's always great with us on Wednesdays, and was at 1:15. It's What If Wednesday. Talked Goo Goo Dolls and Caden Durham. That's all you got to know about What If Wednesday on this Wednesday. If you missed any of our first hour, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can always find us. Search Hunt Palmer Show, like, subscribe, rate, and review. All our Saints content, Hunt on Saints on YouTube. All our LSU football, Hunt on LSU. Always invite you to go to LouisianaSports.net as well. My Q&A with Matt McMahon from the pregame show yesterday is up on the site. Actually, Saturday. It's up on the site right now if you want to go check that out. Now, number 2, should the Saints go trade for Devontae Adams? We'll lead things off with that. Also got SEC football power rankings coming at you at the bottom of the hour. We'll step aside for SportsCenter and come back with more of the Hunt Palmer Show.